According to the information, Uber used secret software to track Lyft drivers' location and determine what drivers were working for both Uber and Lyft in order to give them bonuses and to convince them to work only for Uber. Now, in case you're still under the impression that this software was not used for nefarious purposes, you should know that it was codenamed Hell. The software allowed Uber to track Lyft drivers because each Lyft driver has a static ID, whereas Uber changes their driver's ID every time. According to the information sources, the software was only known about by a few employees, including CEO Travis Kalanick, and it was created by the competitive intelligence team. Apparently, Kalanick also praised the software in several meetings, so he liked it. Hell was discontinued at the beginning of 2016. I would like for all Hell to be discontinued. Not just
Hell
software.
breaks loose at Uber. Yeah, so apparently Uber was spoofing those Lyft accounts through their app. And that alone is a violation of Lyft's terms of service, let alone other things. Basically, it prohibits impersonating any person or entity. They did that because in order to kind of have a sense of what Lyft drivers were doing in the city, they had to kind of like triangulate it. So they had to put spoofed Lyft drivers like kind of in a grid-like fashion throughout the city so that they could track the whole map, which, my goodness, Uber just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't care, just goes for it.
Well, Lyft also could tell which of their drivers were working for both, because for a Lyft driver who had an Android phone, they could tell if the Uber driver app was installed on that phone.
The Lyft app had the ability to see what other apps were installed?
I guess so, yeah. I know. So they're not,
okay.
you know, they're not
free and
blameless.
clear,
They're
I
not
suppose
blameless.
so.
But do you remember when we were in Las Vegas last year
Yeah.
and we went outside to call a ride-hailing service. There were tons of people waiting. We got the phone. I called Lyft, and then the car came right up, and we just like pushed through the crowd like we were famous or something.
Everyone was waiting for Uber.
Yeah, everyone was waiting for Uber. And when we got in the car, the guy said he drives for Uber and Lyft, and that when he gets a Lyft, he turns off the Uber app. Like, that's what he said. You know, he had people coming,
right.
and then he turned it off in order to get us. I don't know, because we had the possibility to tip, or because, you know, just he made more money off the ride or something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of people working the system here, but Uber should, I mean, this isn't the worst thing they've done, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, also there's just the idea that they're pouring on incentives through this plan. The whole idea is, oh, you're driving for both services. We want you all in on Uber, so we're going to figure out who's on both and make it really nice for that person so that they decide to leave Lyft and stay with Uber. So essentially that means that those who are, let's say, least loyal to the service end up getting all of these incentives, end up getting bonuses, that sort of stuff. Which, I mean, the people that are most loyal are not, which I don't know, in my mind just kind of sounds a little backwards.
Yeah, the loyal employees got screwed. And
pretty much.
That, I mean, you know, like that sometimes happens in real life in other companies as well.
That's true. That's true.
But still, it just smacks of anti-competitiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll probably, I'm sure, going to see more about this from a legal standpoint. I have to imagine there's more to either, you know, there are more violations as a result of something like this, because they had access to allow for, you know, tracking Lyft prices by doing this, and it all kind of hinges on the idea that they were spoofing Lyft accounts in order to do it, and that's unauthorized. And all of that extra information that came from that, I mean, that's just no good. By the way, they called it Hell because it was essentially the counterpoint to their other tool that we've talked about, God Mode or Heaven. I don't know why they name their things like this, but they do.